Hi friends, it's Sarah from rufflesandrainboots.com, and today we're going to make a floppy-eared Dollar Tree bunny gnome. If you'd like to make it, just boop, stick around. As always, please give this video a like so that I know you're here crafting with me, and it really does help out the channel. So look at these cute little details, little bunny feet. We have these amazing floppy ears, of course a bunny tail, and these super simple to make. So I'm going to be sharing the supplies I used. I have a pattern linked down below, and I'm just sharing different ways to use this pattern using Dollar Tree socks. These are just fuzzy socks, and this Dollar Tree microfiber car wash mitt. Of course, these little booties everyone requests me to use, and then some sort of nose, a scissors, a glue gun, and the pattern. So I am going to be using about a cup of poly pellets, obviously polyfill, and now let's get started. I don't believe in wasting anything, and so set it aside. We're going to use it in a second. We want to create, how should we put this? A chunky gnome, a robust gnome, rotund, almost circular. So I'm going to put all of the weight into this sock, and I know you can do this with a whole lot of fill, but I like my guys to be a little hefty. You know what I mean? Need some weight. So when I say that we need it to be round, this is a 4-inch diameter sock gnome. He's chunky. I'm shooting from far away, so he doesn't look like it. But you're just going to seal off that sock. I used some embroidery thread, double knotted, wrapped around, and then also sealed the knot with some glue and scissors. I'm paranoid. Okay, so now you can roll this down or you can cut this off. Either one doesn't matter. Just don't let it stay upright. Okay, and it'll make sense in just a second. So the brim is not going to be used, but I'm just using that as a thing. I'm folding over this microfiber wash mitt or whatever from the Dollar Tree, and then I'm going to place the hat pattern piece on this. Now, I know when you're looking at this for the first time, that's against my little hand. I promise this is a pretty big pattern, but because we're going to hot glue it, again, this is all hot glue, we are not going to waste any of the space here. I promise. Okay, so that thing kind of sheds. Pull off all the extras before you glue it because it's going to affect your adhesion. Okay, so once we get that off, all we're doing is just creating a brim. Now you can use a 1/2-inch brim like I'm using here, or you can do a full 1-inch brim, and it depends on what you want the look of the hat to do in the end. So I want a lot of those little wrinkly scrunches in the front over the nose, so I'm just doing about a 1/2-inch brim here. And again, just straight across. You do not need that brim like the hem piece if you just want to use the middle of one of these wash mitts. Now this is important. No matter how you decide to attach the ears, you're going to need to glue the bottom 2 inches from wherever you've glued from the brim up. So we're going to do that on both sides, and it's important to let this all sit and let the glue set before you move on. So while we push that aside, we're just going to fold over this same wash mitt, and you're going to cut 2 of these. I would recommend pinning the pattern directly on it and then keeping everything in place. Now don't like throw away any of this cut off. Try and get it exactly to the pattern because we're going to use it to make a tail. I know, but I promise I'll show you. Okay, so now you can see I'm going to clean up that little extra piece. I'm just cutting the biggest one off and then moving that all out of the way. And then I'm going to do just what we do with the faux fur pom-pom, except I'm just going to make a little tiny one. Now, hey, the Dollar Tree does have white pom-poms. I have like multiple packages of them. But I'm just saying, you can create your own pom-pom if you don't want to head over to the store. So once you have all 4 corners done, now you're going to glue them all together in the center. And then you have a little, just roll it in between your hand and you have a little pom-pom. Okay, now, as I mentioned, we are gonna not waste any of our materials. So pin your sock together, then pin on the pattern because those socks are slimy, they move. And anyway, you're gonna create the cut all the way around, but keep the biggest part if you want to use any pinks or blues for the bunny feet. Okay, you see how the sock is all curled over like that? I promise it's the same size, just pin it in place. And we need to talk about going slow. little bit, because this is where everything is really going to come together in any hot glue pattern. Now, per the pattern, you are not going to glue the bottom portion, and I have it directly linked on the pattern, like stop here, because that way, no matter what material you're using, it will be able to be turned out easily. So again, I'm just going to measure the same thing on the other side. I have my entire hand and wrist, or I'm sorry, my entire arm and wrist on the table with the glue gun. It's just a light bead of hot glue and just tippity tap. Don't press it because you actually don't want to spread the glue out. You just want it to adhere to all these fibers. And then you just repeat with the other side. I do leave them pinned because those socks are squirrely. Okay. Hit up the Dollar Tree for these little booties if you can find them. If not, there are gnome groups that are always destashing. So you're going to cut the same microfiber towel. I mean, talk about use, right? You're going to cut an 8-inch wide by 5-inch high piece. Now, is this absolutely necessary? No. Can you go a little tiny bit smaller? No. You can't, because we're going to do it the lazy girl way, and that is to glue the actual booty right to the center of the vertically positioned piece of fabric. And if you know me, you know I like easy, I like quick, and this is the fastest way to create these. So once you have the bottoms set, go back to that first one and just fold down the front and glue it. That's it. Then you're going to tuck in each of these sides, glue them in between themselves, so you're gluing the fabric to the fabric and the fabric to the inside of this little booty. And then just repeat it on the other side. You don't have to wait till this sets either. It's really nice. But I do recommend getting something sort of not your fingers, because when we get to the back, it's going to be a little tight. And it's also going to be a little hot, because hot glue is hot. So all I'm going to do is do the same thing in the back. I'm going to put it straight down in the center first and then fold in these two flaps. And now you've not only filled that cavity of the little shoe, but you've also made a nice little place for it to adhere to your bunny. All right, so here you go. Get that stick. See, it's really hot in there because I don't have any patience to wait. Okay, so now remember I mentioned we're going to save the little cast-offs. If you're using pink or blue or yellow or whatever other color you can make for a bunny, use the extra pieces. It's really nice to coordinate it. And so I just cut off one big piece and two little pieces. Now I would love to tell you they are circles, but they're not. They're just clumps of fabric. But don't worry, just glue the very, very center down, press it down, and then you start gluing around. And don't worry, you can trim it. I would use smaller scissors than these massive ones, but yeah, you can trim it into the shape you want. So if you've never worked with the fuzzy socks at the Dollar Tree, they're a little frustrating. And so I wanted to be able to give you a tip that was new and fresh, and don't worry about it. This is easy crafting, right? So we're just going to cut this after we glue it. It's simple. See, I would use, again, smaller scissors, but then I just glued everything down, and then isn't that funny? They worked out perfectly. Also, if you don't have the patience for this, you can use felt or fleece or any other fabric that matches, okay? You don't have to do it my way. I just try and use everything I possibly can, and especially on Dollar Tree crafts, right? Okay, so we repeated the second one, and now we're going to move back to the ears. Remove the pins. And oops, go to the opening at the bottom and do not pull it apart. So don't like take these two pieces and go yank. You can put your finger all the way up and push it through the bottom. Or if you're lazy and you have the pliers handy or hemostats, you can actually just put these all the way up to the top, press down the very top join, and then just kind of scooch it down. Don't like take the ends and like yank, but if you scooch it down, it goes all the way through. That's why we left that opening, remember? So easy peasy, right? And now you want to just roll all the seams between your fingers, and then you can also use like a pen or like something dull if you need to poke out any pieces, like the very tip of the bunny ear or the sides, whatever you do. But if you spend a good time with the actual hot glue, this part is so easy. I love easy projects. Have I said that once? Maybe twice? Okay, so I have those two now. Okay, you're going to do this, whatever side you want the front to be, you're going to put the actual pattern onto that side, not facing that side, but actually on top of that side. Okay, so in case you have a piece of fabric that's not great in the back, be sure you're putting the pretty part to the front of that. So you can put these in the center, you can put them on the side, you can put them anywhere. The pattern allows for all of them. Just make sure that the hot glue, wherever you've started the hot glue on the ears, is going to line up with the actual edge of the hat. Okay, so again, you can put these you can put them even more sideways than this, but you can also put them in the middle. Again, just line up that hot glue so that you will be hot gluing the ear that is already hot glued. Okay, and now I just pinned everything in place, and now I'm going to go on the side of the ear and then down to where we actually already hot glued and secured it. So again, you're just gonna tippity tappity tap and then remove the pins so that you can get it all the way across the middle. Again, down the side of the ear, all the way across, and then up the side of the other ear. Again, detail tip glue gun makes this process extremely easy. For those of you new here, I am using a SureBonder detail tip glue gun, and y'all, Amazon loves me because I refer y'all to them every single week. I love this glue gun. Okay, so again, we're gonna do down the side of the ear and all the way to the portion that we already sewed or glued. So by the way, if you are impatient, I'm gonna ask you to set a timer, because hot glue, when we do things like this where we're imitating a sewing pattern, you're gonna have to let it set. Just put it aside if you are impatient, okay? So once that side is set, you can flip it over and just do the actual adhesion to the back of the ear. And I'm going to end up cutting off just the pink part. I leave the white part, but again, after this is all secure, you can actually cut those little tabs off. When I set it over there to dry, I'm just going to cut whatever size beard you like, okay? So if yours is 2 inches, 3 inches, whatever it is, I'm going to make a tiny little like U shape. It's not quite a V shape, but it's a U shape, and that's because I want to put my little feet right next to this beard on either side. So as you can see, an X-Acto knife works super. So do scissors or a box cutter. So here is me cutting off just the pink part because I think it will show through. Again, that Dollar Tree microfiber towel is not like high quality. All right, so I'm just slipping on the hat to get an idea of where to actually glue on my beard. Mine is pretty high because his little chunkiness squishes out at the bottom. Once I know where my hat is going to sit, I can just spread the fur to the fabric backing and add a generous portion of hot glue and attach my round. So for a nose, you can use a pom-pom, fabric stuffed with fill, whatever you would like. I'm using a 3/4 inch wood bead. So I'm just going to glue these right to the front. Remember how I told you we had a nice little adhesion spot there that we created with all that extra fabric? Works perfectly. I accidentally dropped this guy off of my 6-foot cabinet where I'm storing my gnomes this year. And yeah, he's fine. All right, so once that's set, I'm just going to squish down my hat and pull it all the way down to where I want it to be on the body. And see all those little wrinkles? That's what I want. Okay, so I'm going to attach the very top up here so that it stays in place, and then I'm going to attach it down the sides and along the bottom brim. I do add a little bit of hot glue right here to the inside brim of the hat and just pop that right onto the top of the nose so it stays in place. I glue down the very back, and then I glued on his little tail. Isn't he cute? Now you can add flowers or any other decorations, but me, I'm done. What do you think of this easy little bunny gnome? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Get the pattern and let me know if you love this like I do. Please like, share, and subscribe for more crafty fun.